I'm also signing an executive order to instruct the Departments of Defense and Homeland Security to begin preparing the 30,000-person migrant facility at Guantanamo Bay. Most people don't even know about it. We have 30,000 beds in Guantanamo to detain the worst criminal illegal aliens threatening the American people. Some of them are so bad we don't even trust the countries to hold them because we don't want them coming back, so we're going to send them out to Guantanamo.
Let's go, Brandon.
What's up, guys? So I know we had RFK go today. That seems like that went good, but everybody's talking about that. But I think the much more important thing to talk about is what's going on with Tulsi Gabbard, because the betting markets are saying that RFK is pretty much looking like a lock to win. But Tulsi, they suddenly out of nowhere want to do this secret vote for Tulsi. What the hell is this? Check this out. So out of nowhere, the Senate's starting to say they want to vote for Tulsi Gabbard in secrecy, like citing national security issues. It's a sensitive thing. So, and the article that talks about that is locked behind a paywall. Okay, Tulsi secret votes. Tulsi Gabbard's nomination at risk of being blocked as she heads to confirmation hearing. Here's what to know. Tulsi Gabbard nomination to be President Trump's Director of National Intelligence is in peril as she faces skepticism from senators ahead of her confirmation hearing Thursday. Gabbard, a former Democrat congresswoman, blah, blah, blah. Does this say anything about the secrecy thing? Yeah, the Syrian thing, blah, blah, blah. Previous, confirmed. Nope, not about the secrecy thing. Here we go. Senate vote on Tulsi Gabbard DNA confirmation reportedly to take place in SCIF. So that is an acronym for, wait for it. Kirk. So this comes from Charlie Kirk, claiming that the vote may be conducted in a privately in a SCIF security facility used for processing highly classified information. He argued that withholding vote tallies from American people would be a violation of transparency, urging citizens to have the right to know how their senators vote on key nominations. Potential move towards secrecy has sparked concern among critics who fear it may undermine the integrity of the voting process. Gabbard, a former U.S. representative from Hawaii and current lieutenant colonel of the U.S. Army Reserves, face significant opposition. Yes, weird stuff. So I'm going to show you the betting markets real quick. And she's by far the biggest liability right now. So RFK is like 80%, and Tulsi is all the way down at, what is it? Like 50% odds. Is it this one? So they have McConnell definitely not voting for her. Which Trump cabinet picks will be confirmed? Here we go. See, so Tulsi's all the way down 55%, RFK 76, Kash Patel 92. I thought that was gonna be a tough one. Then the rest of them are pretty much a shoo-in. So why all this weirdness around Tulsi? And why don't they even want to let us know who's doing it? So I go on ChatGPT and I type in which senators have criticized Tulsi Gabbard in the past. Susan Collins, of course. First of all, we got primary the shit out of her when her term comes up, because like she's been like, she might as well not even call herself a Republican. She has voiced concerns about Gabbard's shifting stance on a crucial surveillance program, stating, quote, I know there's been a lot of reporting that she's changed her position. That's not how I read her answers. Senator James Lankford from Oklahoma, during a meeting with Gabbard, Lankford noted that she appeared unclear about the responsibilities of the DNI role, raising doubts about her preparedness. Senator Todd Young, Indiana. Young is viewed as a potential swing vote on the Senate Intelligence Committee and has expressed reservations about Gabbard's nomination. Then, of course, you have Lindsey Graham, who's talked shit about what she did with Syria, which is crazy, by the way, because like Syria's the stupidest thing. I mean, just like Saddam Hussein, it's like not ideal to have a hostile dictator running a country, but are you going to argue that we're in a better position now that a terrorist leader is running the country instead of a hostile dictator that's been there for 20 years? Like the only reason we wanted to take out Assad is because they wanted to create instability and create a reason to justify invading Syria. Shit's crazy. So let's see. What did I want to go to next? Oh, John Brennan of all people is trying to be the voice of reason here. So listen to what John Brennan was saying about Tulsi Gabbard the other day. Like this should be like the biggest ringing endorsement of Tulsi Gabbard. This guy's
when there are National Security Council meetings that the president chairs in the White House Situation Room, usually the first person to speak would be the Director of National Intelligence and the Director of CIA. They lay down the intelligence basis for any type of policy discussion that ensues. And so if that intelligence basis, that briefing is going to be skewed or is going to be lacking some very important critical information, the policy decision that ultimately comes out of it is also going to be baseless, and also, it's going to be potentially threatening to our national security. So again, it's the president's daily brief, but also the role that the Director of National Intelligence, Director of CIA play in order to ensure that the people who have to make those decisions in the National Security Council are fully informed about what the reality is, what the intelligence is, what our intelligence gaps are, and if they withhold things or if they skew things, it really is going to be detrimental to
Real quick before we let you go, Director, do those agency heads have, in that moment you're describing in that room, have that realization that, wait a minute, that's not what we told you? I mean, in other words, how does that coordination become undone when the person who's putting the final brief is skewed the information?
Well, I like to think that, Secretary of State Rubio, who is very familiar with the intelligence profession, is going to be speaking up because you have the Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense, the Attorney General, others who are going to be there. So you want to make sure, again, that you have people who are informed, but also people who want to know the truth.
Right.
And not just people who want to give President Trump what he wants to hear. That is so dangerous. And none of the 6 presidents that I work for ever wanted the intelligence community to give them what they wanted. They wanted the intelligence community to give them what they needed, and then they can make the appropriate policy
condescending
decisions,
prick.
taking into account what the intelligence says.
What a condescending prick. Like, of all people, like, you think that she's gonna be one to just tell him what he wants to hear? Like, she hasn't agreed with him for most of her career. Like, she's one of few people who switched political parties because of how, I guess you could say unbiased that she is. Like, I put in the poll, is there anybody that's more deep state than John Brennan? That like anybody that he's against, like I'm almost automatically on that person's side because like this guy is pure evil when you look at him. And you know what I want to see a lot more of? Like what I saw from Nicole Shanahan yesterday. So she comes out, gives this savage, threatening message about anybody who dares to vote against RFK. Like, and we need somebody like this to come out and fit in Tulsi's corner.
Hey everyone, tomorrow is a pivotal moment in our nation's history. At 10 a.m. Eastern Time, RFK will sit in front of the Senate Finance Committee for his confirmation hearing to be our nation's next Secretary of Health and Human Services. I urge everyone to call their U.S. senators over the following days and demand they vote yes on Bobby's nomination. He is more than qualified. He's proven, principled, and prepared to lead. I'll share a list below of key senators. If they represent your state, they need to hear from you. If they don't, please call your own senator and ask them to vote yes. We need as many votes as we can get. So this hasn't been widely reported, but in 2020, I cut large checks to Chuck Schumer to help Democrats flip 2 Senate seats in Georgia from red to blue. The 2 candidates I helped elect, Senator Raphael Warnock and Senator John Ossoff, please know I will be watching your votes very closely. I will make it my personal mission that you lose your seats in the Senate if you vote against the future health of America's children. And more than that, I also want to say to Senators Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham, Lisa Markowski, Susan Collins, Bill Cassidy, Tom Tillis, James Langford, Cory Booker, John Fetterman, Bernie Sanders, and Catherine Cortez Masto. This is a bipartisan message, and it comes directly from me. While Bobby may be willing to play nice, I won't. If you vote against him, I will personally fund challengers to primary you in your next election, and I will enlist hundreds of thousands to join me. Big Pharma and Big Ag have exploited us for far too long. It ends now. You're either on the side of transparency and accountability, or you are standing in the way. The choice is yours. Please choose wisely.
Freaking hot. Billionaire. Threatening. Smart. On the right side of things. Way to go. I didn't know anything. I didn't know the first thing about this lady before it was RFK's VP candidate, but we need like dozens of people coming out and saying stuff like this. Like I think the vast majority of reasonable American-loving people want Tulsi to get this position. And, I've heard people say like, oh, it's not the end of the world if she doesn't get it. Like, we can't expect to get everybody. Like, no, I'm still pissed off that Matt Gaetz dropped out. Like, we need the most savage people possible right now. Like, we get 4 years of a window to dismantle the deep state to as much as we possibly can. We can't get some moderate in here. Like, even somebody like John Ratcliffe, the fact that there was such little pushback to him, don't love the guy. Anybody that there's not a ton of pushback to, I'm not all that excited about. I want people in every one of these positions that scares the shit out of the establishment people. All right, so I don't know. I didn't hear about this secret voting thing until today. That better not happen. Like, we always forget that we're the ones who are the boss of these people. It takes an average of 80 phone calls to get a senator to change their mind. So literally the amount of people on the stream, this amount of people called their senators and said, listen, I swear to God, if you guys so much as dare to vote in secrecy on this thing, it will make it my life's mission to vote you out of office. Like, if 100 people did that to each senator, they wouldn't even think twice about doing this. That's how we get shit done. Now, this next thing, you might not see this one coming. This isn't like a trending topic or anything. I saw this like kind of off to the side, but super concerning. I don't know why the hell Trump said this, but I'm mind blown that he said this, and I couldn't disagree more. See, it's another political article. Let's see if it lets me pass the paywall this time. All right, pass the paywall. Let me share this. So look what Trump said about freaking UK's prime minister. This is bizarre. So Keir Starmer, Trump says, Starmer's doing a very good job, Trump says, after Musk attacks UK leader. Why the hell is Trump saying this? This guy's not doing a good job. This guy's a certified psychopath. You know what this guy did before he became prime minister? He defended people who sexually assaulted kids and people who murdered people. He was a civil rights attorney and defend the worst people. And then he's covering up these, sex trafficking rings and whatnot, and these migrant attacks in the UK. Why the hell is Trump saying this? Is he afraid of UK like he's afraid of Israel? So the article says, U.S. President Donald Trump said UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer is doing a very good job and they have a good relationship. I don't like that. Trump told reporters on board Air Force One late Saturday that the two leaders will be having a call over the next 24 hours, according to the media reports. He is liberal, which is a bit different for me, but I think he's a very good person, and I think he's done a very good job as far as said Trump. He's represented his country in terms of philosophy. I may not agree with his philosophy, but I have a very good relationship with him. Why? Starmer told Politico in mid-January that he wants to get around the negotiating table with Trump's team in the coming weeks and strike a trade deal. The labor leader had promised to take our partnership to the next level. Trump's positive remarks on Starmer over the weekend stand in contrast to those of billionaire tech mogul and Trump ally Elon Musk, who has called for the British Prime Minister to be jailed. Yes. Prison for Starmer, Musk posted on his X platform earlier this month, sharing a post from an anonymous account claiming that Starmer prioritized tackling anti-Muslim abuse over condemning a child killer. Yeah, he did. He tried to arrest people who posted things anti-Muslim on social media instead of trying to arrest the Muslims who murdered kids. Musk followed up that post asking whether America should liberate the people of Britain from their tyrannical government. So it's shit like this that makes me wonder just how much influence the UK still has over America. You know, you hear those rumblings that we never quite got away from the crown, that the UK still indirectly controls America. I don't think that way too much because, I mean, it's hard to imagine that with like the, power that we have like here, totally away from them with military and economy and, everything you need to be a powerful country. But I can't think of a single compelling reason why Trump, like, unless he just doesn't know anything about the guy, unless he literally had one conversation and never looked into what the guy's done or like recently or in his further back past in his career. Like, this one is mind blowing to me. Does anybody have any thoughts or theories or opinions about this? Like, I'm mind blown by this. Seriously, I'm stunned. I'm gonna look in the chat because I'm perplexed by this one. LMG says Deaton was beat by Warren, and now we get to see Jezebel doing her thing. Okay. Every day, let's decide what senator we'll call the next day. Let's do it. I mean, I don't know if they let you through if you're not from the state, but if anybody's from the states that those people are from, then let's hammer them with phone calls, to be clear. Any theories on what's going on with Trump and Starmer? Seriously. All of America needs to be concerned. Yep. Steve P, what's up? What's up? Denise just got done about an hour ago digging up our war hydrant for a field. IT froze over single-digit temps. Damn, Denise, stay safe. Thoughts and prayers. Mark Eckelberger, they want to hide their vote. Anybody got any idea what's going on with this statement right here? I'm 100% stuck on this right now. Does he not know? Like, do you guys know about Kieran Starmer's past? Nick Mullen says, WTF, Matt Gaetz admitted he was living Hunter Biden style. Why would you want him? Constant pills, coke, and hookers. All right, but yeah, the thing that most people don't know about Matt Gaetz is that his friend was the one who was doing these really shady things where he was like, what was he? Like, he was in this local government position where he had the power to make IDs. So he was like making fake IDs for underage women and dating them. And he got caught doing that. And I guess he like ratted on Matt Gaetz for doing God knows what. I believe he made up a false allegation to try to lessen his sentence. At least that's what Candace Owens reported at one point in time. But no, like, I mean, from what I've heard, I don't think Matt Gaetz did anything that crazy based off what I've heard reported. But we need savage people who are ready to like destroy the deep state here. I don't know if Pam Bondi's gonna do that. Like, she's smart, super capable, but I don't know if she's crazy enough. And we need killers in these positions. We don't need run-of-the-mill people. We have one shot at this to do this for the next 4 years. Yes, Heather. This is what's his name? John Thune's decision. And this is why it sucks that we didn't get Rick Scott as the Senate Majority Leader. Like, I mean, talk about swamp creature central. The Senate, that's like the next mountain to tackle. I mean, I always say the way to really take back the country in a permanent way is to get 500 patriots in Congress. And, the Congress, the Senate, Congress 435, Senate 100. Like, we need at least 60 solid patriots in the Senate. Right now, we have like a 90% swamp creature, 10% normal people ratio in the Senate. And like the reason that they're even somewhat voting in our favor is because they're all scared Trump will primary them out of their positions. LMG says, I'm here briefly. RFK Jr. kicked ass today. Remember PBD and others. No one interviewed John Deaton for Senate, and Jezebel Warren is lame. Got it. Steve, I'm having a second beer. I'm going to be rowdy tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Bear with me. I have heat again, so it's a call for some beers. Hell yeah, Steve. Good shit. Let's get rowdy. All right, let's see if anybody said anything about the... Yep, smash that like button. Smash that like button. Anybody got any thoughts on what's going on with Keir Starmer? Steph, what's up? Miss D, I want to. You think he's just playing chess? Like, he can't actually think that. What's he trying to get out of it, though? I do have faith in him, but I don't have blind faith. I don't have blind faith in anybody. Like, optimistically, yeah, maybe he's playing chess with them, but I don't know, from like a more concerned standpoint, like, is Trump like tepid or fearful around the UK like the way that he is around Israel? Because I mean, we can objectively say that he's tepid and fearful around the topic of Israel, right? Like, that's something we could all agree on. So does that extend to the UK? Here, I don't know if you guys know about Keir Starmer's past. Let me see if I could grab something with that quick. Keir Starmer's past. Yeah, went to Oxford, bachelor in civil law. Let's see if I can find some of his cases. Keir Starmer defending criminals. Keir Starmer helped free dangerous prisoners from the Telegraph. Yeah, look at this. Look at this. From the Telegraph, Starmer helped free dangerous prisoners, including arsonists who terrorized former girlfriend's family, violent fire starter, and child sex offender among hardened criminals who Sir Keir, as a working barrister, persuaded a judge to release. Oh, fucking Telegraph needs to... All these websites have paywalls on. No way I'm paying for the fucking Telegraph. Get out of here. Let's see, maybe there's something else. Let's see. Let's see. I'll show you this news feed. Starmer prosecute more people, smugglers, than Sunak's had helicopter rides. Starmer defends releasing prisoners from jail early to free up cell space. Defending death row inmates hardly the worst thing Keir Starmer did as a lawyer. Just before Christmas, far right leaning press ran a story that when at the bar, Starmer had been on the legal team of Abu Qatada, particularly nasty Islamic rabble rouser who, until finally bundled up onto an airplane by Theresa in May 2013, made up a practice of issuing blood-curdling fatwas calling for the murder of both Jews and Muslims apostates. He was represented by Starmer in a deportation proceeding in 2008. This week had brought further revelations between 2002 and 2014. A good deal for Starmer's work involved acting on behalf of people facing the death penalty in those Commonwealth countries that retained it. These endeavors, as the Sun made clear on Monday, involved efforts to befriend, support, and save the lives of a number of sick criminals, including several grisly multiple murders and baby killers. So, what the hell, Trump? Like, why do we need this? Why do we need to kiss Starmer's ass? He doesn't kiss anybody's ass, except maybe Israel sometimes. But why the UK too? Trump is saving face and saving his relationship with the leader. But why? He's calling everybody out. Like, that's the interesting thing. Like, is this notion of the UK still having this, hidden level of control over America still the thing? Like, can they still do damage to us in some way? I know a lot of finances run through the UK, but shit, I didn't have Trump as somebody who's going to kiss Keir Starmer's ass. Misty, you were absolutely right. 128 viewers, 46 likes. Not enough. Now we're up to 137. Should have at least 130 likes in there. Come on. Hit that like button. Jonathan Upperman said, even we need to hold Trump accountable. Is it MAGA a movement or the man? Yeah, no, exactly. It's a movement. Like, we got 4 years of Trump and love 90% of what he's doing, but like, we can't just blindly follow somebody and not question things that they do that we disagree with. That's like cult shit. Taibu says, Trump saying that is like a good guy, never met him situation. Yeah, but he knows so many things that, like, even like he's said things before that I've never heard. So we're at the point where I'm like, wow, I'm impressed that he knows that. Like, because I make a point of knowing most things, and like when somebody knows something I don't know, like they earn my respect. And he says things that I don't know a lot of the time, but the notion of him not knowing how much of a psycho Keir Starmer is, it's hard for me to believe that. So that makes me think like he has some ulterior motive to want to, mend some sort of relationship with him. Why? Oh, get out of here. Trump owns golf properties in Scotland. YouTube keeps what it wants, what you write. I made a typo. It won't let me take off. It's okay. Tebu says, not committing to an answer. I don't know much about him. Just an answer that keeps the convo moving. I gotcha. Like golf course stuff. Trump is in 5 moves ahead of these people. We just haven't seen his hand yet. Okay. I mean, yeah, I guess he's earned that benefit of the doubt to a degree where he's moves ahead of people. He's done things before that have looked like the wrong move and like turned it into the right move. All right. Seems like you guys have your minds made up on this. I'm going to put in a poll quick. Poll question. Are you upset with Trump saying Keir Starmer's a nice guy? All right. So the question is, are you upset by Trump's statement about Starmer? Yes or no? You know where I'm at. I think it's insane. No idea why I did that. Hopefully it's strategic. Probably is, but I don't know. Can't help it. I'm curious about these things. All right, that's a better theory, Chris. He probably doesn't want the UK turning back to the EU. Maybe Keir Starmer will turn around after talking to Trump. I don't know. This guy's a psycho if you listen to what he says. Michael Scott says, no, nope, nada. You want to vote against America's wishes, you'll put your name to it. So you're saying that to me, or you're saying that to Starmer or Trump? Like I said, the only thing I can think of is either he's playing them, he wants them to have a decent relationship with them for some reason, or there's some sort of leverage that the UK has over the US that, like, in the same way that Israel seems to have, where even Trump can't fully criticize it. But then the weird thing is that Elon isn't afraid to criticize UK, but he is a little tepid about saying stuff about Israel because he did that whole apology tour thing. Heather says, and if this Tulsi thing isn't proof that they're going to turn on Trump for money, Warhawks. Yeah, no, 100%. Like people like Lindsey Graham and freaking Tillis, Mitch McConnell, Mitt Romney. Is Mitt Romney still in the Utah Senate? I don't think he is. Trump can't prove it. Yeah, he needs people. Yeah, he said, I wish her well after Ghislaine Maxwell got arrested. Yeah. It's possible, Denise. It's possible. Well, anyway, something that I saw today that kind of went under the radar. Trump he puts a freeze in the federal funding yesterday, right? Gets blocked by a judge, and then they seem to have retracted this today. But something that went under the radar with this. So here, let me show this quick. Something went under the radar with this. I've been wanting to talk about this for a long time. So the demonic power of these nonprofit organizations. So there's something that happened many years ago called the Reese Commission. So before I get into that, Trump tried to put a freeze on not only federal aid, but grants towards universities, NGOs, nonprofits. If you guys don't know, NGOs right up there, like in the top tier of things that run the world. So the power structure, I guess you could say, over the last, I don't know, 20 years, it's like the UN kind of gives out the marching orders, but the UN gets its agenda from the NGOs, and then the NGOs get their marching orders from their biggest donors. And the reason the biggest donors give money to the NGOs because it's tax write-off, and then you could be an anonymous donor because of the way that it works. So look at this growth in NGOs by year. Let's see. Where's this nice chart? Here we go. This only goes 2010. But I'll still show it. So, like, number of NGOs with consultative status with ECOSOC. So, like, right after World War II ends, and the military industrial complex comes alive. It goes from just 40 that year to 3,800 or 3,300 by 2010. And I think it's gotten a lot worse than that today. Where are we? NGOs by year. Why does it stop at 2010? (2010) 2012. They got so bad they stopped counting. How about that? Let's see. How much government money goes to NGOs each year? Can we get a straight answer here? Let's ask ChatGPT. So this thing, the Reese Commission, I'm going to show you. I'm making sort of like a whole presentation on it, but it's worth dipping our toe in the water because of the circumstances. Because they're trying to conflate that, like this really hit a nerve. So they ended up pulling back on this. It looks like the White House made an announcement earlier today that they're not going to go through with this now. But like this is the thing they were talking about yesterday, where they found the $50 million in condoms that were going to Gaza and all this crazy shit. But take a look at this. So I'm asking the chat bot how much money goes to these things each year. Then I'm going to show you like the names that are involved in it, and I'm going to show you what happened the last time Congress tried to poke around with these. Didn't go good. Here we go. The U.S. government allocates substantial funding to non-government organizations annually, both domestically and internationally. Approximately 30% of larger U.S. nonprofits, those with annual revenues exceeding $50,000, receive government funding, totaling about $303 billion annually. Notably, around 20,000 of these nonprofits depend on the government for 75% or more of their funding. So why does the government feel the need to give this money to these groups? Some foreign aid, some global health initiatives like the WHO, or like Doctors Without Borders, or the freaking Amnesty International. Let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at this report. Where does the money go? Projects. That's projects. No problem. But see, this is like really just like big, messy money laundering. Well, let's stay on topic and see why they froze it. Trump freeze on grants. Trump White House rescinds memo freezing federal money after widespread confusion. Okay. President Donald Trump's budget office on Wednesday rescinded a memo freezing spending on federal loans and grants less than 2 days after it sparked widespread confusion and legal challenges across the country. The memo, which was issued Monday by the Office of Management and Budget, had frightened states, schools, and organizations that rely on trillions of dollars from Washington. Should anything in the world that relies on trillions of dollars from Washington exist? Hell no. Page unresponsive. Of course it is. Administration officials said that the pause was necessary to review whether spending aligned with Trump's executive orders on issues like climate change and diversity, equity, and inclusion. But on Wednesday, they sent a 2-sentence notice rescinding the original memo. The reversal was the latest sign that even with unified control of Washington, Trump's plans to dramatically and rapidly reshape the government has limits. Blah, 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 blah. So maybe they're pulling back for a second to make it a little more precise. But the executive order issued by Trump on funding reviews remain in full force and effect and will be rigorously implemented by all. So who said this? The executive orders issued by President Trump on the funding reviews remain in full force and in fact will be rigorously implemented by all agencies and departments. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said, blaming the confusion on the courts and news outlets, not the administration. Yeah, because the news outlets are freaking telling everybody that Social Security is going to get canceled and that welfare was going to get canceled. This action should effectively end the court case and allow the government to focus on enforcing the president's orders on controlling federal spending. The vaguely worded order, legal pause, and eventual cancellation left organizations confused and worried again about what might be next. Nourishing Hope, which runs food pantries and home meal delivery on an online food market in Chicago, gets roughly 20% of its food budget from federal government. CEO Kelly O'Connell said that the biggest issue when the memo surfaced was getting clear and accurate information so they could figure out how to plan for coming months.
Why AAA? Because you're stuck in a rut, literally. Because you're out of gas and in a pickle. Because stuff happens.
Where the heck
And
is that coming
AAA
from?
is the most trusted roadside assistance. Join today at
Where the
AAA.com.
heck is that coming from? All right. But yeah, so looks like they're maybe pulling back a bit to try to be more precise with this.
AAA?
Oh, here we go.
You're stuck in a rut, literally.
Get out of here, ads. Oh, what's this? The federal government shit. But yeah, so that's the deal with that. So now the Reese Commission, the fun part. The Reese Commission. All right, let's see. CIA.gov. So let's give a little summary of this. A little taste. So like I said, I'm doing like a bigger episode on this, but here I have an idea. I will put this document in the chat bot so we can get a nice little summary for it. But yeah, so the essence of this is that groups like the Rockefeller Foundation and Carnegie Foundation and who else? Like the Morgan Foundation, blah, blah, blah. They started these nonprofits as like a tax haven, and they started just influencing the hell out of policy by doing this. So they, Congress started investigating it to, acknowledging that they had like a ridiculous amount of influence by doing this. Like, this is the reason why our health system, why our education system, everybody talks about how the Rockefeller shaped our healthcare and our education system. It's through this. What this report looked into was exactly that. So here, let's give a little rundown of this. Just 1 second. While I fire up the chat bot, get the little summary to make it nice and neat. Summarize this. Here we go. It's not doing it. All right. Let's go back to the thing. I'll read it a bit. All right. Select committee to investigate foundations. Final report. Select committee to investigate blah, blah, blah. All right. Released by the CIA in 2001. This committee was created, and its powers and duties were defined by House Report 561, 82nd Congress, second session, blah, 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 authorized direct conduct, full, complete investigation and study of educational and philanthropic foundations and other comparable organizations which are exempt from federal income taxes to determine which such foundations and organizations are using their resources for purposes other than the purpose for which they were established. and especially to determine which such foundations and organizations are using their resources for un-American and subversive activities or for purposes not in the interest or tradition of the United States. And to report not later than January 1st, 1953, the House Representatives or the Clerk of the House, if the House be not then in session, the result of the investigation and study together with such recommendations is as deems advisable. The sum of $75,000 was appropriated for the use of the committee by House Resolution 638, 82nd Congress. In the course of this investigation, the committee has sent questionnaires to more than 1,500 organizations and interviewed personally more than 200 persons deemed. So it's like when you see like the bankers at Congress, the big tech people at Congress today, like you see them on TV and stuff. This is what was going on here with these nonprofit organizations, because like we see today with stuff like the WEF, they're saying like, yeah, they were actually influencing policy in a much bigger way than anybody ever intended to allow it to happen. So they interviewed people, they communicate by letter, telephone, approximately 200 additional persons, many of whom had established themselves in positions of achievement and competence. Heard the testimony of sworn. That's a tough one. 2 persons. Received the prepared statements of approximately 50 other persons deemed to have some knowledge of the subject. Studied and analyzed thousands of pages of answers of foundations submitted in response to the questionnaires. Studied the available literature on foundations. The community's findings and recommendations are based upon a consideration of the information and data assembled in the manner and by the methods stated. Findings and conclusions. The committee was unable to arrive at any definitive figure relative to the number of foundations, the aggregate resources, income, and expenditures. The 1950 cumulative list of organizations published by the Bureau of Internal Revenue lists more than 30,000 tax-exempt organizations. The number of these which can be classified as foundations varies according to the definition of a foundation. Estimates range as high as Estimates Estimates range as high as 32,500 under the broadest possible definition. For those organizations having a permanent endowment of 50,000 or more, embarked upon a program of philanthropic, the giving estimate was slightly more than 1,000, with total assets of approximately 2 billion, 2.6 billion, and expenditures of approximately 133 million in 1950. Informed sources estimates the number of foundations having assets over 10 million to be between 60 and 100. The estimate excluded colleges, universities, and religious organizations. Yeah, wow, that's a big exclusion, to exclude colleges, universities, and religious organizations. Like, I would imagine that's a pretty crazy group too. To throw much light on these questions is now being made the American Foundations Information Service, the results of which will be published in 1953. Must be borne in mind that foundations range in size from the giants such as the Ford and Rockefeller foundations with assets of $500 million and $300 million respectively, to those with no or practically no permanent endowment, but with incomes from annual or sporadic contributions of a few hundreds or few $1,000s. This committee knows of no manner in which even a reasonably accurate estimate of the aggregate assets, annual income, and expenditures of foundations can be obtained at the present time without an executive order permitting examination of returns. An executive order permitting examination of returns. What's happening right now? Maybe he did it the wrong way. Maybe he's rethinking the way to do it, but Trump is taking executive action against these types of institutions. So, yeah, without an executive order permitting the examination of returns now filed with the Bureau of Internal Revenue pursuant to the provisions of the tax laws or examination of these returns in the offices of the various directors of Internal Revenue where the returns are filed. The committee has received estimates which consider it reliable to affect that all foundation expenditures aggregate only 3 cents of the annual American philanthropic dollar. The fact that there are notable foundations in foreign countries, it may be said that a modern foundation are confined largely to the United States, and that there are products of the last 50 years. Right, because this is when like the IRS started. So this is happening in 1953. The whole non-profit and foundation thing started in the early 1900s, right around the time that the freaking IRS started, right? While there's been a tremendous growth in the number of small foundations over the past 10 years, it is unlikely that existing tax levies will permit the creation by individuals or families of large foundations, in the sense that the Ford, Rockefeller, and Carnegie foundations are large. After the next 10 or 15 years, the small foundations will have mushroomed in the last decade and are largely vehicles for the distribution of permissible tax deductible philanthropies or of modestly to well-to-do individual families, blah, blah, blah. The role of foundations in modern society. Foundations are almost as old as civilization. They were understood at and used to be by the Egyptians, the Greeks, or Romans. In one form or another, they have played an important part in the development of civilization in Western Europe. They have had their ups and downs. They have been regulated, abolished, reestablished. They remain today an important, vital force for American life, and their influence is felt in Europe. Okay. All right, where were we? I think we're on page 8. Yeah, here we go. While the impact of the foundation upon modern society cannot be accurately gauged, it's safe to say they have rendered great and significant service in many fields, blah, blah, blah. This is all the positive stuff. We want the negative stuff. Criticism of foundations. The committee is striving to give a careful attention to the major criticisms levied at the foundations. The criticisms have come from persons, groups, and organizations of widely different backgrounds and from all parts of the country, while some few complaints have been motivated by personal grudges or financial imaginings. The great proportion of them have come from well-meaning and sincere individuals or organizations whose integrity, loyalty, patriotism cannot be questioned, blah, blah, blah. Have foundation funds been, the complaints and criticisms viewed broadly have raised the following questions. Have foundation funds been diverted from the purposes established by the founders? To what extent have the foundations been infiltrated by communists and communist sympathizers? Have the foundation funds been channeled into the hands of subversive individuals and organizations? And if so, to what extent? Have foundations supported or assisted persons, organizations, and projects with which, if not subversive in the extreme sense of that word, tend to weaken or discredit the capitalistic system as it exists in the United States and favor Marxist socialism? So, I mean, quick example of that today is stuff like Open Society, HRC, the United Nations, like anything that basically pays for these protests that we see that come out of nowhere, where they're just paid actors or pays to help immigrants cross the border illegally. That's all NGOs. That's this stuff right here. So yes, the answer to all these so far is yes, 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 yes. Do foundations tend to be controlled by interlocking directories composed primarily of individuals residing in North and Middle Atlantic states? Through their power to grant and withhold funds, have foundations tended to shift the center of gravity of colleges and other institutions to point outside the institutions themselves? Yes. Have foundations favored internationalism? Yes. To what extent are foundations spending American money in foreign countries? A lot. $50 million in condoms in Gaza. Do foundations recognize that they are in the nature of a public trusts and are therefore accountable to the public, or do they cloth clothe their activities in secrecy and resent and repulse efforts to learn about them and their activities. I don't think they like when people poke around in their activities too much, but I'm just guessing. Are foundations being used as a device by which they control the control of great corporations are kept within the family of the foundation's founder or creator? Clinton Foundation. To what extent are foundations being used as a device for tax avoidance and tax evasion? I'd say that's the sole primary purpose of this, and then that and the anonymous donor thing. In dealing with these questions, the committee recognizes all too clearly that which must be apparent to any intelligent observer, namely that it was allotted insufficient time for the magnitude of its task. 4 successive royal commissions sat over a period of 18 years while engaged in the task of investigating and reporting on 29,000 charitable trusts existing in England well over a century ago. This committee was given a similar task and directed to complete its work in less than 6 months remaining after funds were appropriated for the work. It is obvious that the committee could not investigate thousands of organizations within the limitations of the time allotted, yada, yada. Committee. For example, the Rockefeller Foundation alone has made almost 30,000 grants, approximately 6,000 of which were in the form of scholarships awarded to individuals. And then they get to program those individuals to think exactly the way they want them to think. I'm sure it's a lot of doctors, lawyers, bankers, deans of colleges, you name it. Future leaders of the world. The committee had endeavored to make as thorough a survey as time permitted. Its findings and conclusions must, under the circumstances, be general rather than specific. It has endeavored to bring into this inquiry such information as it could assemble and apply to this information, incomplete though it is, its best judgment. With these observations, the committee will attempt to deal with the following major questions raised by criticisms perceived. So we saw these before. Number 1, have foundation funds been derived from the purposes established by the founders? Congress says, so as far as we can ascertain, there's little basis for the belief expressed in some quarters that foundation funds are being derived from their intended use. There have been instances of such blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so this is really how this goes down. They answer all these questions basically yeah, we took this under careful consideration, but no. But let me show you what some of the results of things like the Rockefeller Foundation were. So, like I said, it built our medical system, built our education system, which both suck. Where is my note-taking app? Here we go. So, here we go. There was this concept of, let's see, Rockefeller Foundation impact on medical industry. Rockefeller Foundation has had a significant impact on the medical industry by funding research, supporting vaccine developments, and promoting equitable health outcomes. Foundation funded the development of penicillin yellow fever vaccine, which won Nobel Prize. Foundation to support research into vaccine development. Foundation to support research into the social detriments of health. Foundation has supported research into HIV/AIDS with a focus on sub-Saharan Africa. Yep, vax development. Racket hookworm. There's this concept of it called what the hell is it? On holistic medicine. So the Rockefeller Foundation support of scientific medical education and germ theory had a negative impact on holistic medicine. This impact included marginalizing and even eliminating natural healing modulates like homeopathy, herbal medicine, and naturopathy. So the Flexner report, here it is. In 1910, the Rockefeller Foundation commissioned Abraham Flexner to write a report on the state of medical education in North America. The report concluded that the natural healing modulates were unscientific and that there were too many medical schools and doctors in the United States. The Rockefeller Foundation funded medical research based on germ theory, which became the dominant paradigm in American medicine. This led up to a focus on treating symptoms rather than curing diseases. It's like the main thing that we talk about all the time. We're a cure, or what is it, like a band-aid philosophy medical system. Then you got pharmaceutical interventions. The shift towards scientific medicine education led to a medical system that relies heavily on pharmaceuticals. This created an environment where the pharmaceutical industry could generate ongoing profits. And then you got education. The dark truth about the dark truth of the educational system shaped by John D. Rockefeller. I don't want a nation of thinkers. I want a nation of workers, said J.D. Rockefeller. The American education system, a cornerstone of societal development, has undergone numerous transformations over the years. One influential figure in shaping the landscape of education was John D. Rockefeller, a name associated with wealth, blah, blah, blah. All right. Rockefeller's influence on education was not solely altruistic. The GEB played a pivotal role in imposing standardized model of education across the nation. The standardization, while seemingly efficient, carried with it a hidden agenda to mold a workforce that would serve the interests of the industrialists like Rockefeller himself. By imposing a uniform curriculum and promoting route memorization, the GEB aimed to create a compliant and obedient citizenry, well suited for factory work. The emphasis on conformity stifled creativity and critical thinking, limiting the potential for independent thought and innovation. The suppression of alternate education, in addition to the standardization, Rockefeller's influence extended to the suppressing alternative education models that posed a threat to the industrialist agenda. Independent and progressive educational methods that encouraged critical thinking and individualism were sidelined in favor of a system designed to produce obedient workers. Rockefeller's evil design. To truly understand the dark motivations behind Rockefeller's educational initiatives, one must explore the broader context of his industrial empire. Rockefeller, the founder of Standard Oil, wielded immense power and wealth. His interests in education were not merely philanthropic. It was a strategic move to ensure the perpetuation of his influence and wealth. By shaping the educational system to serve the needs of the industry, Rockefeller aimed to create a workforce that would be docile and subservient to the economic machine. The ulterior motive was to maintain control over the labor force, ensuring that individuals remain cogs in the industrial wheel rather than empowered. Critical thinkers capable of challenging the status quo. So you get the point. The point that I'm trying to make is that this stuff is still going on in a big way. Like these invisible NGOs, they have a massive impact on things. Like it's kind of like how, when we go to war, like half the American forces on the ground are private contractors because they could do shit that the American military can't do. So NGOs are basically the groups that do things that the government wishes it could do, but can't really legally get away with, or it would be a really bad look if they were doing it or caught doing it. So NGOs are pretty much the ones who do the dirty work of the government for propaganda, activist stuff, sending money to the places they want to send money to without congressional approval. But it's just like, you see, it's like a shoe-in, like that's like an automatic payment, like a couple $100 billion, maybe $1 trillion goes to these things like every year. It's insane. So I say all that to say, I hope Trump doesn't give up on cutting these things off. I mean, it's probably so big and messy that like it was a little bit imprecise the way he was doing the federal freeze, but like defund NGOs. They're straight evil, toxic. Not too much good that comes from them. Let's see. Are you guys bored or entertained with that? We're still talking about Keir Starmer now. A commercial airliner jet collided with a Black Hawk over DC. You better not be lying to me right now. Let's look. Jet collides with Black Hawk over DC. Oh, wow, you're right. American Airlines airplane goes down into the Potomac River after collision with helicopter. Damn. Let's see. Come on, open. American airline flight collides with Black Hawk helicopter over DC. The American Airlines passenger plane crashed in the Potomac River after colliding with a Black Hawk helicopter over Ronald Reagan International Airport in Washington, D.C. The Federal Aviation Administration announced Wednesday. The commercial plane was identified as an American Airlines Flight 5342, which departed from Wichita, Kansas earlier on Wednesday and was a PSA Airlines Bombardier regional jet. According to the FAA, the Black Hawk chopper was identified as a Sikorsky H-60 helicopter while on approach to the runway at Ronald Reagan International Airport. Several videos shared online footage collage. Oh, shit. Let's see if we could find this online. Let's check out X. Yep, here we go. Let's see what we got. Oh, wow. It's like the worst footage ever. Oh, here we go. Oh, wow. Is this it? Wait, what? So why do we have this shitty footage when it happens, and then we have this perfect footage after it happens? Like, is this gonna be one of those things where nobody has good footage of it? Oh, all right, we already got the 3D maps. All right, what am I missing? Where's this happen? Okay. Is this gonna be the same video? It's a little better. Why do we have this shitty footage for the view that actually shows what happened? And then just goes to perfect footage right after. So what blew up? The plane blew up? Oh, it's so annoying.
Incredibly frightening situation for the people who were involved, for the people who were in this area, people who were at the airport who may have witnessed this scene tonight.
Yeah. Very sad. Well, thoughts and prayers go out to them. Like, you know what I mean? Is it outrageous to ask that? Why does it literally go from shitty footage when it happens to perfect footage when we're looking at the same view in the aftermath? Like, I would imagine that a camera that looks the way that camera looks doesn't even exist anymore. Like, what the hell is this? And then it goes to this. You know what I mean? What is this? That looks like a 1970s video game. And then we got this. Like, why can't we have this quality footage for what actually happens? See, this is why people don't trust things. I don't know. All right, let's read some chats and wrap this thing up. Thanks, Steve. You're the man. Thank you, Jim. Ah, Sabrina, you're so nice. That's the goal. Enlighten, entertain, and empower future and current leaders of America and the world. That's what we do at VT. That's what I aim to do for you guys every night. Thanks, Steve. Steph. The reports are saying that was a Black Hawk helicopter, but like, again, am I crazy for being confused as to why we have 1960s footage for when the crash happens and then seconds after, like looking at the scene, it's, you know, perfect high quality HD footage? Like, is that an unreasonable thing to say? Like, look, again, that's where it happens. And then like every video looks like this. Bad footage, good footage. Bad footage, good footage. I don't know. Don't know. What? So many years with no major airline accidents. Now DEI in the last decade, there's been so many crashes. Yeah. You know, I was thinking about this the other day. Like, have we ever had a legitimate terrorist attack in the U.S. that wasn't from our own government? I know that is always the first question, Chris. Like, who could be on that flight that's important? Yep. Thoughts and prayers. Thoughts and prayers. Oh, Chris, I could imagine if somebody's serious on that plane. Remember that plane that was where the hell was it going? It was like over Brazil or something earlier this year, and it just like free fell out of the sky, like not even a normal landing, like where it just like went limp basically and fell straight down. And turned out that like there were doctors on board who had a cure for cancer. So yeah, I could believe that somebody important was on board. And with this shitty footage, who's to say it was even a Black Hawk helicopter and it wasn't like one of those drones or something? Yes, very bad. Very bad indeed. I think this is the search. Yeah, but like I haven't seen a camera that looks like that in a while. Who has a camera that's that shitty? Like they're like you might as well not even have a camera if it looks like that. Like if somebody walks by that camera, are you even gonna be able to know what they look like? Yeah, I know they're gonna blame Trump. Nothing about survivors yet, Steph. Let's see. So again, where is this thing? So yeah, look. Crash. Bad footage. Oh. Oh, okay. So here's some good footage. Barely caught it though. Yikes. Wait, so there's a plane right here. So what is there a helicopter and a plane right here? Or is that the plane that hit the helicopter? I don't know. We need a play-by-play. Let's see, survivors. Accept the cookies, I guess. Anything about survivors? DC Fire and EMS confirms small aircraft is down in the Potomac River in the vicinity of Reagan National Airport. Fireboat scene. Let's see. All right, so that's what the scene looks like. Yeah. Emergency personnel responding to the aircraft incident on the airfield. Terminal remains open. Terminal remains open. Jeez, savage. Yeah, I'd be surprised if people made that out of that one alive. Press secretary confirms a military helicopter collided with a regional jet at Reagan National Airport. Details remain limited as authorities respond. Thank you, Chris. Two planes, not a helicopter, Amber? Yep, they'll probably blame Trump indeed. Yep, thoughts and prayers. Anyone can be on that flight, right? RFK Jr., for instance. I mean, probably not, but yes, anybody could be on that. Imagine that. Oh, geez, that'd be insane. Yeah, Steph, it's always the sketchiest footage. Like, why do we have two different camera qualities? Yeah, exactly. Game Boy camera. We'll find out who was on it eventually. It's weird though, Steve. Isn't it weird? There's two different cameras. Like, why does every video have that shitty POV camera in it? Like, why is anybody in the world still using that 1980s looking camera? Definitely gonna blame Trump and to say this is his fault because the military flight. Any reason to blame Trump? Yep, I know. Have feelings to be big names. No, so for Let's hope that's not the case. Also, can those Blackhawks be remote driven? Hell yeah, they could. 100%. Like, think about the toy helicopters. If you could remote control that, like, how big of a difference is it to remote control a Black Hawk helicopter especially with the technology that we have hidden? 100% the military contractors can do that. Or like the defense contractors. We will find out who was in the plane. The bad footage is usually a zoomed in portion of the video. They take a 1-inch square of screen and zoom way in, and the picture degrades. Okay. It's possible, Denise. Good call. Camera zoomed in after, so it gets better. We have 6 cameras on the bridge, but why they are zoomed out, they aren't in good focus. But when the zoom in, it's perfect. Okay. Limp's no good. Yeah, September 11th. Yeah, I've been finding some interesting stuff about September 11th lately. I'll show that. Yeah, you got Matt Gaetz fan in the house. Queen. I read that one body was recovered in the water. Oh shit! Where'd you read that? Which article? Should I look for something specific? Should I look for something specific? Oh, you're talking about the I know what you're talking about, the flight that like they think went through like a black hole or something. Yeah, Malaysia flight something. That's what it was. The bridge cameras we have are like 20K a piece, night vision and all. When adjusted specifically, they are perfect, but when zoomed out, they aren't. Okay. Makes sense, Steve. Hope remember something does not feel right. Yeah, anything or anytime something like this happens doesn't feel right to me. Like with the New Year's Eve thing, instantly felt like it was something aside from what we've been told. Heard military helicopter didn't have transponder on, said Jonathan Upperman. Well, that would be weird now, wouldn't it? Especially next to a major airport. And like, where military helicopters been flying around next to a major airport. LMG is back. Yeah, this is the plane crash LMG. We don't know yet, Amber. We don't know yet. Yeah, that's an interesting thing, too. So it's saying the flight was coming from Wichita, Kansas, but it looked like the flight was taking off, or maybe it was landing. What's up, Melissa? Yes, better late than never. Better late than never. Yeah, so I'm probably gonna. It's funny you say that. I literally was thinking that. Who's to say that the drones couldn't have been something that hit this thing? Like if it is a thing where they're trying to do it on purpose, like a drone can hit the plane. And did you guys happen to see what they said about the drones the other day? Like with the big reveal. So what's her name? The press secretary comes out and says, like, yeah, Trump's authorized me to disclose what's going on with the drones, and they were FAA approved drones, and some of them were recreational drones that people were flying around themselves. So like a super vague answer that I wasn't really too, I don't know. Like it didn't really like answer any questions. It almost like created more questions. But yeah, if I had to bet on it, I'd say this is gonna take a weird turn. Yep, it's gonna take a weird turn. Well, guys, I think that's good for tonight. We hit the Reese report. I've been wanting to show that for a while because, like, that's a problem that hasn't gone away. So, like, we had to destroy these NGOs. We had to, just like the WHO, we have to cut off the funding to these NGOs that are like trying to shape our society. Same thing with the colleges, like all the grants and tax exemptions that go to colleges, and then they, get to push their whatever thought police agenda. They wouldn't be doing that shit if like their policies weren't attached to government funding. So hope I got you guys a little bit more interested in NGOs and the federal money that goes to that, because Trump can't back down on this. They took a step back and backed down with pulling back the freeze in federal funding that they did, but I hope they come back and do it in a more strategic, precise way. But guys, I hope you enjoyed this. It's fun. We'll be back. We will be back tomorrow night. I'm officially, what is it now? 2 days away from being 30. I'm trying not to dwell on that too much, but yeah, Saturday turned 30. So thank you, Steve. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, Steph. Thank you, CYB. Thank you, Sabrina. Thank you, LMG. You guys are all awesome. Thank you, Denise. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Taboo. Thank you, LMG. Thank you, Amber. You guys are all awesome. And thank you, Satoshi. Number 1. Yeah, you guys are all awesome. I'll see you tomorrow night. All right. Good night. And connect to me on Minnect if you guys want to have a one-on-one chat. I'll put the link in the description. Much love. Good night. We talk about the deep state. We talk about the globalists. Inflation versus deflation.
Well, I mean,
Here at Mar-a-Lago. I'm baffled that this isn't front page news.
Do you guys support a specific political party, or do you dislike both of them?
Oh, if it worked like a charm on you guys.
let's go, Brandon.